When I saw a black girl dancing with my disabled daughter, I never expected her unbelievable act. I will never forget that moment. The way the sunlight flickered off her joyful face, as if she carried the very essence of happiness. My heart skipped. My stomach nodded. I had just stepped into the park, searching for a bit of normalcy in an otherwise chaotic life filled with therapy appointments and hospital stays. There she was, my little Anna, her fragile frame perched on her wheelchair. Tears had pooled in my eyes, blurring my vision, making it hard to breathe. I had thought I was pushing her through the day for a sunny outing, but really, I was just trying to hold back my anguish. I never expected to see anyone dancing, least of all, a girl with ebony skin swirling like a graceful willow. The crowd around them stilled. A moment of collective disbelief hung in the air like a suspended breath. Music melted from a nearby vendor's radio, wrapping around the two figures as if the universe conspired to create this perfect conjunction. The girl tossed her hair back, twirling, and my heart ached. Something deep inside me stirred hope, perhaps, a flicker of something I dared not name. The little girl lifted her delicate fingers, beckoning Anna to join her in a dance that was bursting with life, with joy. My daughter's hands trembled as she raised them in response, her expression a tapestry of emotions: bewilderment, curiosity, and a shine of something like acceptance. What was this magic before my eyes? A revelation? As I stepped closer, captivated, I noticed the girl's face shimmering with determination. She didn't see Anna's chair. She only saw the person, the spirit who needed to be freed, to feel alive. How could this be? I thought. My world felt so bleak one moment, and now, it pulsed with light, exposing a bliss I had forgotten existed. But just as I reached for my phone to capture this astonishing moment, something shifted. The girl's joyful expression faltered. Her dance slowed, and she locked eyes with me. A knowing glint sparked in her gaze, a flicker of understanding that seemed too profound for someone her age. What did she see in me? What weight did she carry? And then silence. The music faded. The crowd gasped. A shift in the air that made my heart race. A whispered question passed from someone in the crowd. What's happening? Shadows of doubt filled my mind. I was caught between excitement and dread. The world around me seemed to hold its breath, waiting for the next move. Suddenly, the girl reached out to Anna, her fingers grazing my daughter's hand. And in that moment, I could feel an unbreakable bond forming, shimmering like the sun on water, full of possibility. My own heart ached with a longing I didn't fully grasp. Could this be the start of something magical? Or were we teetering on the edge of a revelation that would shatter us further? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button. It really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. The moment stretched on, each second a heartbeat echoing in the stillness of the park. My throat tightened as I watched the black girl, who moments ago had been a whirlwind of laughter and life, suddenly seemed small and fragile. The vibrant world around us began to dim, shadows creeping into the corners of my perception. I could feel the weight of the crowd, their collective curiosity morphing into something resembling judgment. Anna, I whispered, my hand trembling as I reached for my daughter's. I needed to ground myself, to anchor myself in this surreal moment. But Anna, my sweet girl, was lost in her thoughts, her eyes wide as if she were peering into another universe. Mommy, she said, her voice barely audible above the silence. Can I dance? My heart split in two. How could I say no when my own dreams for her danced before my eyes? Dazzling, yet so very elusive. In that split second, I made a choice. Yes, dear, I said, my voice strong despite the trembling inside. I adjusted her wheelchair just a bit closer to the girl, who was still reaching out, her hand open like an invitation, but the darkness dared to seep in. What if Anna couldn't keep up? What if the moment blossomed into a disappointment? Fear buzzed around me, settling thick on my skin. I was trapped in the contradictions of hope and despair, the need for joy and the weight of reality. The girl's gaze flickered back to me, a gentle nudge of encouragement that brought a soft smile to her lips. "It's okay," she said, her voice as soothing as the sun breaking through clouds. "We can dance together." And with that, Anna's fingers found their way into the girl's grasp. My daughter's smile burst forth like spring flowers. I could hardly breathe as I watched them, two girls, different lives, entwined momentarily in what felt like fate's delicate handiwork. It was breathtaking, yet terrifying. But life had its own rhythm. The shadows gathered more fervently. Plate after plate of lives' burdens, from treatments to the unsolicited advice of strangers, felt like a suffocating labyrinth. I wanted to reach out, to tell the girl how much this meant to me, to thank her for sharing her universe, but could words convey the depth of my heart? Just as my mind spun in circles, the familiar sound of my phone buzzed in my pocket, sharp against the emotional backdrop. I fished it out, an email notification pulsing with urgency. My heart sank as I glanced at the subject line, a reminder from the hospital regarding Anna's upcoming appointment. A wave of anxiety washed over me. In this moment of wonder, reality reared its head, reminding me of the impending storm. Did the girl sense my fear? A shadow crossed her face, and for the briefest moment, her dancing faltered. Yet, Anna, with her pure innocence and infectious spirit, didn't let the darkness claim her. She giggled, spinning her wheelchair slowly, as if to say she refused to be tethered to the ever-present weight of the world. But that flicker of joy was soon eclipsed. My phone buzzed again, a message this time. I could feel my hands shaking as I opened it, the color draining from my face as I read the name of the sender. Daniel, my estranged husband. "We need to talk," it said, simple yet loaded with implication. What could he possibly want now? Panic flared as I cast my gaze back toward the girls. The park blurred around me as concern rushed in like a tide. Could I manage Anna's care alone amidst the chaos awaiting me? My heart twisted, a tether tying me to this moment while my mind threatened to pull me away. But maybe this unexpected dance held the key. Perhaps I could harness this moment, ride its waves to push back against the storm. My resolve steeled momentarily, yet I couldn't shake the weight of Daniel's words or the reality of Anna's condition. Suddenly, a rush of uncertainty tightened around me, ushering in the unknown. As Anna turned toward me, eyes brighter than I'd seen in weeks, I felt a surge of clarity mixed with dread. What if this moment was merely a brief respite in a storm that was about to break? The girl's hand tightened around Anna's ass. They shared a conspiratorial laugh, oblivious to my internal struggle. In that laughter, I realized the quiet power of kindness, the unseen anchors we share with one another even when we're caught up in our own battles. And just as hope seemed to ignite anew, the most unexpected shadow fell upon us. A woman, her presence commanding, stepped forward from the crowd. I recognized her instantly, a figure from my past, a face I never thought I'd see again. My heart dropped as memories surged, flooding me with ghostly echoes of dreams long since abandoned. "Anna," the woman called out, her voice smooth and rich, yet dripping with something I couldn't quite identify. I felt my pulse quicken, the world collapsing inward as time flickered like a broken string of lights. Why was she here? What did she want? Before I could comprehend the enormity of this moment, the atmosphere turned electric, charged with possibilities both dark and familiar. I braced myself, the horizon of my heart shifting ominously. The dance of joy ahead stood precariously against the backdrop of shadows, and somewhere deep inside, a tidal wave of fear began to swell. The warmth of Anna's laughter seemed to hang in the air, but it was quickly swallowed by the tension creeping in around us. I felt like I was grasping at fog, and the woman's voice, familiar yet estranged, grounded my spinning thoughts. She moved closer, her eyes scanning Anna, a mixture of nostalgia and something darker lurking behind them that I stepped forward instinctively, putting myself between them. "What do you want?" I asked, my voice stronger than the quaking within. The crowd around us buzzed, a melodious undercurrent to our escalating conflict. "Just to say hello," she responded, her tone deceptively light. But I could see the shadows flickering beneath her smile. The way she looked at Anna sent shivers down my spine, a mix of intrigue and something else I couldn't place. "Hello?" I echoed, the words sour in my mouth. Bursting with curiosity and fear, I clenched my fists, striving for a semblance of control. You have no right to approach her. Not after everything. Her eyebrows shot up, and she feigned surprise. Is that really how you see it, Alice? I thought we could put the past behind us. For Anna's sake, wouldn't it be better to reconnect? A rush of memories flooded my mind, whispered promises of dreams long drowned, the cacophony of choices made, the splinters of trust that had shattered between us. I couldn't help but feel threatened, the unresolved chapters breathing life into her words now. Anna, blissfully ignorant of our interaction, continued to spin her wheelchair, somehow finding joy even amidst the storm. Mommy, let her dance with us, she chirped, her eyes wide with excitement. The innocence of her request pierced through my anger, begging me to let go of the past for just a fleeting moment, and oh, I snapped, my voice cracking. Shesh is not a part of your life anymore. Not now. Not ever. My breath came fast, emotions threatening to pull me under. The guilt washed over me. Anna didn't deserve this confusion, didn't need to inherit my fears. The woman narrowed her eyes, brushing a strand of hair behind her ear. You're making a mistake, Alice. You don't know how much I've changed, how much I can help. I scoffed, my heart racing as I sensed the rising tide inside me. You think I'd trust you again? You walked out when we needed you most. Each word tore at the fabric of my resolve, threatening to unravel the tight knot of hope I had just begun to reweave. That I didn't walk out. I had to make choices. Just like you, she countered, her voice gaining an edge. You can't keep holding on to that bitterness, Alice. Look at Anna. She deserves a fuller life, and maybe, just maybe, I could be a part of that. The chill in her tone cut through me, exposing the fragility of my own determination. Deep down, doubts spooled like thread in my mind, weaving tales of uncertainty. Was I really strong enough to protect Anna from yet another heartbreak? The darkness in my heart, having festered for so long, stirred restlessly. Maybe I'd been too hard. Maybe, just maybe, I could let a glimpse of light in. As I stared at the woman before me, something inside me faltered. For all the anger and resentment, the longing in her eyes mirrored a desire to connect that I couldn't entirely dismiss. And yet, Anna's joyous laughter, pure, bubbling, and full of life, reminded me what was really at stake. Suddenly, a soft voice interrupted my thoughts. The girl who had been dancing with Anna stepped closer, her expression sweet yet determined. I think everyone deserves a chance, she said, her innocence cutting through the heavy tension. Why don't we let her join us for a dance? I marveled at how her lightness clashed with the weight in my heart. Could it be that simple? To embrace the possibility of kindness? But then the woman turned her gaze to the girl, and in that instant, a dangerous glimmer sparked between them. That your friend? I asked, feeling my protectiveness shift back to the forefront. She's just trying to help, Anna chimed in again, her voice bubbling with enthusiasm. The tension wrapped tighter around me, threatening to strangle the emerging warmth. But you don't know her, I countered, desperately holding on to my instincts. Maybe she knows more than we think. The girl's eyes twinkled with sincerity. Sometimes people have unexpected stories. Unexpected. The word haunted me. Daniel's message, the tension with the woman, and now this unexpected girl. I felt the pendulum of fate swinging precariously, every moment charged with both possibility and peril. Let's dance, Anna declared again, oblivious to the quiet storm brewing. In her world, kindness would win, and I wanted so badly to believe her, but the shadows of my fears pressed down harder now. Suddenly, my phone buzzed again, this time pulsing with urgency from the many missed calls I had ignored. Daniel's name flashed silvery against the dark of my mind, sending a desperate shiver through me. I couldn't keep fearing the shadows while standing in Anna's light. The dance continued, laughter colliding with past wounds, while a heavy decision loomed just out of reach. But as I turned to answer my phone, I caught sight of the woman moving closer towards Anna, her intentions veiled, yet palpable. Everything inside me screamed that I was teetering on the edge of a precipice. Before I could process the urgency of my surroundings, I heard Anna giggle again, and as I turned, a vision of joy spiraled before me own that brought both warmth and dread. And then I heard the woman speak softly to Anna, words that pressed against the fear in my chest like ice water splashing on burning embers. A beautiful girl like you, she whispered, deserves to know her family. Time froze, the ground beneath my feet quaking as the world spiraled in my mind. Family. The word lingered in the air like smoke, igniting a firestorm of uncertainty as Anna's face lit up in awe. My heart raced, fear and hope coiling tightly, and amidst the laughter of innocence, the resonant weight of revelation descended like a shroud. The music enveloped us in a pulsating rhythm, each note reverberating against the walls of my heart. I felt like a broken metronome, unable to find a steady tempo as the moment threatened to spiral out of control. Anna spun in her chair, delight shimmering in her eyes, while the woman's words slithered into my thoughts, relentless and unforgiving. Deserves to know her family. The phrase echoed in my mind as if it were a haunting chant, a truth ID spent years burying deep beneath layers of defiance and fear. My breath quickened, the air thickening as I weighed Anna's innocent joy against the dark shadows that accompanied that word family. The girl who had inspired Anna to dance swung beside her, her eyes bright and pure. I could see the spark of connection forming between them, and I felt inexplicably torn. Here was Anna, reveling in the spontaneity of a moment, her laughter mingling with the vibrant notes of the music, and yet, looming behind it all was the specter of a past fraught with pain. My instincts screamed to shield her from the tumult. "There's no family here," I said, my voice barely above a whisper, as if the words could consolidate my resolve to keep the woman at bay. Yet doubts gnawed at me relentlessly. Hadn't I fought tirelessly to create a sanctuary for Anna, a space free of past entanglements? Each day had been a testament to my commitment to shield her from suffering like mine, and now it felt like the ground beneath us was shifting. The woman stepped closer to Anna, a cautious gentleness in her demeanor that twisted something deep inside me. "You don't know the adventures waiting for you out there," she said, her tone dripping with honey-soaked longing. "There's so much I can share with you. Stories that are just waiting to be told." I could see the flicker of longing in Anna's eyes, the desire to connect, to explore, to share moments that were hers by right of birth. It felt like an unbearable weight on my chest, the fear of losing her to a world I fought so hard to protect her from. But then the girl chimed in, her voice breaking through my tangled thoughts. "I think it's really cool to have more people in our lives. More love to share." Her sincerity was magnetic, a beacon of hope that drew me toward the light in my shadowed heart. I needed to fight back the dread, to remind myself of the strength I had been cultivating all these years. I took a deep breath, unwavering in my commitment to Anna's safety. "You don't know anything about us, do you?" I challenged softly, my tone as resolute as I could muster. "You don't know how the past can haunt those left in the wake of it." The woman's eyes flickered, her mask slipping momentarily. "But what if we had a chance?" she implored, the vulnerability in her voice almost disarming. "What if you could help stitch together some of the pieces?" The urgency of her plea stirred an unexpected empathy within me. Hadn't I wished, too, for the opportunity to mend? For the light of understanding to bridge my own rifts? But just as quickly, that warmth unraveled under the weight of my fear. I glanced at Anna, radiating joy as her chair glided closer to her new friend. "Mommy, please let her come dance with us." Her voice bubbled with excitement, each word punctured by pure delight as she spun in her chair, laughter trailing like echoes. "Anna," I began softly, struggling to maintain my composure. "You have no idea what you're asking." The words faded on my tongue as I sensed my daughter's confusion. Her innocent heart couldn't bear the burdens of the past I fought so hard to protect her from. She deserved to dream without the constraints of my chaos. Suddenly, a shrill ringing erupted from my phone once again, yanking my attention fully away and sending a jolt through my body. I glanced down, my stomach sinking as I saw Daniel's name flash on the screen, the unyielding reminder of our unresolved tension twisting like a knife in my gut. "Not now, Daniel," I muttered under my breath, before the realization struck me. What if he knew something? What if he had a piece of this puzzle that could shatter everything I believed? The shadows of my past warred with the flicker of hope that peeked through the edges of my heart, leaving me gasping for certainty. I stepped away slightly, wanting to remove myself from the heated moment as Anna danced, blissfully unaware of the tempest brewing just beyond her periphery. But as I turned my back, I caught movement out of the corner of my eye, the woman reaching out toward Anna again, her expression softening as she whispered something intimate. "Sweetheart, how would you feel if you got to meet your real family?" Time slowed as my heart plummeted. I whipped around, every nerve in my body igniting, just as a powerful surge of protectiveness overshadowed the warmth of the music. What did you just say? Anna's laughter flickered. My world wobbled on its axis as I grappled with this unexpected revelation. The moment hung suspended, charged with an energy I could neither understand nor escape. As Anna's eyes widened in surprise, my world began to fracture. A dark ripple coursed through my veins, igniting the trepidation that had taken root deep within me. Here in the midst of our joyful dance, I stood face to face with the uncharted territory of familiar and unspoken truth that threatened to unravel our fragile tapestry. And then, without warning, my phone buzzed again, this time a message urgent, demanding my attention. But I couldn't focus on the screen, my breath catching as I was drawn deeper into the labyrinth of complexity and emotion. What had I truly shielded Anna from, and at what cost? The dance engulfed us all, the shadows swirling thick, but the real dance was just beginning. The music faded momentarily as panic surged through me, blending with Anna's delighted laughter in a bittersweet cacophony. Standing frozen, torn between the joyful image of my daughter dancing and the looming figure of the woman who threatened to upend our fragile existence, I felt as if I were caught in a tempest. Mommy? Anna's innocent voice pulled me back, nudging me toward the present while I tried to piece together the fragmented swell of emotions threatening to drown me. Just stay close to me, Anna, I urged, hearing the tremor in my own voice as I moved to encompass her within my embrace. I could feel her little heart beating steadily against my chest, a constant reminder that I was her protector, the one who had vowed to keep her safe from the storms of life. Mommy, I want to dance too. She squirmed in my grip, oblivious to the weighty conversation nagging at the edges of my thoughts. I ruffled her hair, attempting to convey reassurance through this small gesture. Hold on, sweetie. Let me talk to this lady for just a moment. I turned, meeting the woman's gaze head-on, steeling myself against the emotions swirling beneath the surface. Anna doesn't need to learn about family, I said firmly, each word like a bullet. She has a family right here, and I want to keep it that way. The woman's expression shifted, concern etched in her features. But what if she wants to know? What if she deserves to know? Deserves? I felt the word strike like a bell tolling in the silence. Deserves to carry the weight of someone else's choices? She deserves to make that choice for herself. The woman countered, a hint of passion igniting in her voice. I'm not here to take her from you. But can't you see how beautiful it would be to expand what family means? To let her know more love than you can give alone? I couldn't deny the truth in her words, even if it made the walls of my heart tremble. Anna still bubbled with joy, lost in the music, the girl by her side shimmering amidst the chaos like a guiding star. Just then, the buzzing of my phone interrupted the tension, this time vibrating violently against the table behind me. I stole the briefest glance at the screen, the name flashing again, the phantom of my past, insisting on resurfacing. Please, I whispered to myself, willing the temptation to answer away. How could I focus on Daniel when all that mattered was Anna standing before me, ready to embrace every moment as if it were a gift wrapped with love? Anna, listen to me closely. I drew her into my sight, kneeling to avoid the chaos attending her exuberance. There are things in this world that can hurt us, even when we can't see them at first. It's important to protect ourselves. Like how you protect me. Anna's wise gaze bore into me, the innocent question echoing louder than the music wrapping around us. Exactly, my love. The girl who had danced beside her piped in, her voice a soft melody against the clouds closing in. But sometimes hurting can lead to healing, you know? It's scary, but it can help us grow. Grow? I echoed, the reluctance rolling on my tongue like a weight. What did she know of growing pains? Yet, something deep within me grappled with that truth, diverting my focus from Anna's innocent laughter. At that moment, my phone lit up again, an incoming message flashing against the dark backdrop of my fears. Heart racing. I carefully pulled myself back and glanced at the screen, my pulse quickening at the sight of a new name, someone I hadn't heard from in years, someone deeply entwined in the threads of my past. Why don't we all just dance? The woman proposed, her eyes sparkling with warmth as if to break the heavy mood settling like a storm cloud. Life is too short to stand still, to let the fears of yesterday dictate today. No, I whispered, the sudden surge of determination rattling through me. You don't know my story. You don't know my fears, what I've sacrificed to keep her safe. Just then, the girl rested her hand on Anna's shoulder, a quiet form of support. But your story doesn't have to end there. You could rewrite it, with her with us. There was something in her voice, a gentle insistence that awakened the flickering remnants of courage I'd so desperately buried in a vault of protection. Let's just dance, Anna squealed again, this time turning wildly, fluttering out of my grasp, drawn back into the colors of life and joy, oblivious to the shadows closing in around us. Helpless, I could only watch, my heart split between caution and a yearning for what I couldn't allow myself to embrace. And then, the final blow. Chamomile phone lit up once again, but this time an image flashed on the screen. My breath caught as I read the message, a photograph inexplicably tied to the woman standing before me, her eyes darting to mine with unmasked recognition. Mommy, look. Anna danced closer to the girl by her side, unaware of the reality crashing around me. We all belong together, don't we? But just as my heart began to shatter alongside my resolve, another pulse of truth surged in my chest. With my fingers trembling over the phone, the abounding connection between our families threatened to unearth the very secrets I had spent years concealing. Who are you? I gasped, the question spilling forth like a waterfall, overwhelming me in its desperate urgency. My gaze locked onto the woman who seemed to know more about my past than I had ever dared to admit. As the room brimmed with colorful music and exuberant laughter, the weight of my history dawned on me like a heavy mist. What had once been an invisible barrier was slowly eroding, revealing a world riddled with shadows, connections, and a reckoning of unimaginable proportions. And just as the first note of a new song began to play, laden with the promise of unknown futures, the truth loomed ominously. Once unleashed, there could be no turning back. The laughter echoed around me, wrapping around Anna like a protective cocoon, yet I could feel the fabric of that cocoon thinning, fraying under the strain of truths I had long tried to bury. The atmosphere was thick with unspoken words, the air electric with revelations that felt poised to strike like a lightning bolt. Who are you? My pulse drummed an anxious rhythm against my temples as I demanded answers from the woman who stood before me with an air of confidence, her eyes betraying no hint of unease. With a composed grace, she stepped closer, her voice a gentle tinkle of sincerity. I'm here to help, to remind you that family doesn't always look the way we expect it to. Help? A bitter laugh escaped my lips, fueled by disbelief. You think waltzing into my life with a photo and vague claims of kinship is supposed to mean something? My family is perfect the way it is. The sharpness in my voice dripped with desperation, a fragile shield around my heart. Anna twirled, her little arms stretching wide, as if to embrace the entire world, completely oblivious to the storm brewing at her feet. Mommy, listen. The music is calling us. Let it take you too. Her innocent joy juxtaposed against the chaos spinning inside me, and my heart ached. What would she do if she knew the truth swirling around us, threatening to expose secrets that could change everything? The woman took a step back, her expression softening. I didn't mean to intrude. I only want what's best for her, just like you do. You don't understand. You don't know the lengths I've gone to protect her. The vulnerability escaped like a sigh I hadn't realized I was holding. Each decision I've made was to shield her from hurt, from any kind of fallout from my past. What you think is a gift could be a curse. At that moment, the enticing sounds of joy around us faded, drawing my focus back to the urgent dance of my daughter. In her eyes, I could see the world, and yet the truth of our existence was beginning to intertwine with shadows I had long believed banished. The girl by Anna's side chimed in, love is messy sometimes. It doesn't always come neatly packaged. It requires bravery to embrace the unexpected. Her words hung in the air, a silent plea laced with kindness, igniting a flicker of hope I hesitated to hold tightly. Bravery, I echoed, the word resonating like a distant echo of my past self. How long had it been since I felt brave? The thought of unveiling my past was paralyzing, an unsettling collision of regret and the potential for new beginnings. Anna deserves the freedom to know. The woman's voice weighed heavy with conviction, intertwining with my fears. What if she could expand her understanding of love and family to include more than just you? My heart twisted at the thought. But what if it opens doors I can't close? I felt raw, exposed. Could I bear to face the demons that lurked behind every door I had closed? Can you bear the thought of denying her the chance to choose her own path? The question pierced the thickening air around us. How would that make you the protector you envisioned for her? My breath hitched, the air thick with uncertainty as I glanced over at Anna, her bright smile dancing with delight as she spun in circles, dragging the girl into her joyous whirlwind. The vision was heartwarming, yet sent icy fingers of dread skittering down my spine. What would happen if Anna wanted more, and I couldn't give it? Just then, the music shifted to a slower melody, filled with wistful notes that beckoned to deeper introspection. I instinctively stepped forward, drawn into the melodic embrace as Anna and the girl continued their dance, picking up the rhythm together, oblivious to the turmoil within me. Would you have the courage to step into an unknown future? The woman challenged gently. To rewrite the story as it fits you all, rather than being tethered to the past? The weight of her words hung like a pendulum, swinging slowly, testing my resolve. If I didn't venture forth, would I forever be left in the shadows of what could have been? The tangle of emotions swirled: fear, longing, hope, and an ache so profound it blurred my vision. But just as my heart began to contemplate an unfathomable choice, my gaze fell upon the flashing screen of my phone once more, a familiar name igniting a flicker of panic within me. This time, my heart raced, recognizing the implications of what this new message could mean. A second chance cloaked in perilous uncertainty. I held my breath to still my racing heart. The message read, "I have something important to tell you. You need to know. Meet me here." In this unassuming moment, everything shifted, me past and present colliding like two opposing forces, ready to erupt. "Mommy, come dance." Anna's voice floated toward me, her delight pulling my attention once more to the girl at her side, spinning like a dream, inviting me back into the moment. But as I dithered between joining my daughter and answering the call of my past, the urgency of my decision loomed like a storm cloud, ready to unleash its fury. One path led to the familiar chaos I had always known, while the other beckoned me toward the unknown, a path I didn't even understand. And then, with a jolt, I realized that every moment would carry its own weight. Every choice I made now could change everything. And just as I took a step forward, an insistent voice gripped my heart in its embrace of fear and hope. A truth was waiting to be revealed. What would that truth demand from me? The afternoon sun cast a warm glow over the gathering, illuminating the laughter, the dancing, and the moments that felt fleeting yet eternal. As the music swirled around us, Anna's happiness was like a beacon, pure and untainted, a sharp contrast to the turmoil swirling in my heart. But behind her joyful spins and carefree laughter was the weight of a choice that loomed larger by the second, each tick of the clock pressing like a leaden weight on my chest. "Mommy, dance with us." Anna's insistent call pierced through my reverie. I swallowed hard, torn between the joyous present and a haunting past that threatened to surge back to life. With every curve of Anna's body as she welcomed the girl into her world, I felt the walls I'd built around my heart crumble into dust. "Dance, Mommy." Anna grinned, her spirit vibrant, her innocence a reminder of everything I longed to protect. And though fear clutched at my throat, I took a deep breath. I stepped into the circle my daughter and the girl created, feeling the warmth of their laughter envelop me like a soft blanket. As I twirled alongside them, a sense of relief washed over me. The music seemed to lift my burdens, if only for those few seconds while we spun in unison. I saw Anna's happiness reflected on the girl's face, a shared joy transcending whatever shadows we carried within. It was beautiful. It was alive. But as the song came to a close, the reality rushed back in, dragging me beneath the surface of bliss like a riptide. Just then, a pause crept upon us, an intimate silence that thrummed with anticipation as if the world held its breath. I could feel the woman's gaze upon me, waiting for an answer, for some sign that I was ready to confront the truths I had dreadfully hidden. "Will you speak to her?" The woman's voice was quiet yet firm. "Just tell her, and maybe she can help you understand." My heart raced at the thought. The message weighed heavily in my hand like a stone, almost burning against my skin. I opened my mouth to speak, but the words caught in my throat, a trembling rush of fear and vulnerability choking me. What would I say? How would I explain the fractures of my past to my innocent child? But before I could articulate my thoughts, Anna looked up at me with those wide, trusting eyes, the eyes that saw only love, only the good in things. My own reflection swelled with sorrow. "Mommy?" she asked again, her small hand reaching for mine, urging me toward the warmth and safety of what we had built together. In that moment, I felt time freezing, the world narrowing to the pulse of our connection. I looked at the girl, whose dark skin shimmered like the dusk, filled with a light that was both alien and oddly familiar. She smiled brightly, her own eyes shining with encouragement, as if she somehow understood the journey I faced. "Mommy, you can be brave," Anna whispered, her voice innocent yet determined, pulling me from the abyss of my own thoughts. "You taught me that if I'm scared, I can still try." The weight of her words shattered the glassy barrier that separated despair from hope. My heart pounded in my chest, and a warmth cascaded through me, igniting embers of courage I had thought extinguished. Perhaps it was time to be brave, to unmask the shadows of my past, if not for myself, then for Anna and the connections formed in this unexpected moment. Just as I began to find my voice, a triumphant rush of laughter erupted from Anna, her joy suddenly interrupted by a loud crash from behind. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw a scatter of spilled cups, and horrified gasps rippled through the gathering. Within seconds, chaos seemed to reign as joyful faces turned to concern. The girl Anna had danced with rushed to help, but in that instant, Anna's eyes widened in alarm, fixed on something behind me. I spun around, confusion flooding my senses as I saw what had captured her attention. Then I saw him. A man, tall, with a familiar silhouette etched against the bright afternoon light. He stood at the edge of the gathering, his expression unreadable as he scanned the scene. But what sent a chill down my spine was not just his appearance, it was the knowing in his eyes, the glimmer of recognition, and the shadow of our past that loomed ominously beside him. "Mommy?" Anna's voice trembled through the growing uncertainty at the sight of him. "Who is that?" My heart raced, conflicting emotions surfacing in a tidal wave. He was a specter from my history, the kind of revelation I had desperately wanted to shield Anna from. All the hopes of the afternoon, the fragile courage that had begun to blossom, now threatened to wither away beneath the weight of his return. "Hesh is someone from my past," I stuttered, feeling the weight of my own words resounding bleakly. The room froze again as he took a step closer, the world around us fading away. Anna's grip tightened on my hand, the tender affection in her grip contrasting sharply with the fear precipitating in my heart. "Is he family?" she asked, her bewilderment palpable, and my world tilted once more. This was not how I envisioned this day. My heart trembled on the precipice of the past, the answers I sought just within reach, yet ecstasy and dread clashed violently within me. I opened my mouth, ready to say the words that could fracture our world altogether, but uncertainty and dread swelled, tightening my throat in a desperate embrace. And as he took another step forward, the question lingered, heavy and unyielding. What truth was he bringing with him? What would that truth demand from me? And could I still protect Anna from the fallout that seemed inevitable? The music faded, and silence wrapped around us, pregnant with potential. "Mommy, please." Anna's plea wrapped around me like a lifeline against the encroaching dark, staring up at the man who once held a part of my heart and, perhaps now his role in our lives would ask for more than I was ready to give. Everything hung in the balance, tipped precariously on the edge of revelation, as our lives took a sharp turn into the unknown. Would I rise to meet it, or let fear pull us into the shadows once more? The stage was set. The truth we had fled from was here at last, demanding a reckoning. The sun dipped lower in the sky, casting long shadows that mirrored the tumult in my heart. The festival around us lost its luster, the laughter morphing into echoes that tantalized yet haunted. With every heartbeat, I could feel the fabric of my reality fraying, unraveling as the ghost from my past moved closer. "Mommy, who is he?" Anna whined, her small voice drawing a strangled breath from my throat. The innocence that colored her tone shattered me further. It stung to feel that even amidst the love I bore for her, I carried so much that she could never understand. The man stepped closer, his eyes locking onto mine, an unspoken challenge lighting within their depths. I felt every experience we had shared pressing in on me like a weight only I could carry, moments that had defined me, haunted me, and now threatened the delicate life I had built with Anna. He's an old friend, I finally managed, the words tasting bitter as they left my lips. Old friend. The words felt like a shield, yet the betrayal of that statement throbbed just as fiercely. Yet, how could I explain a relationship that was so entangled? The sweetness of shared laughter, the sharp edges of betrayal, and that life-defining moment of leaving it all behind? The memories rushed to the forefront of my mind, the promises made, the laughter shared, and the eventual fractures that rendered those echoes of joy meaningless. Part of me wished to scream the truth, to let the past rise unflinchingly, to let Anna understand just how complicated love could be. But as I looked into Anna's eyes, trembling but trusting, I couldn't bear to drag her into the shadowy corners of my history. Mommy, are you okay? Anna's little voice pierced through my brewing storm, and I bent down to meet her gaze, desperate to ground myself in her warmth. He looks sad. Maybe he is, I managed weakly, my heart pounding fiercely. At that moment, I could feel anger rising within me, directed at him, for dredging up this uncertainty in the one place I had tried so hard to build a sense of peace for my daughter. Before I could question my thoughts, another emotion crashed into the mix: regret. Regret for the girl who danced so freely, blissfully ignorant of the turmoil her mother helmed. Finally, he spoke, drawing me back from the tempest inside me. I didn't come here to hurt anyone. His voice was low, heavy with burden, each word laced with gravity. I actually came to find you. To talk. There's something you need to know. Distrust tightened like a vice around my chest. Right now. I'm busy, I retorted harshly, the words flying from my mouth almost quicker than I could register them. I didn't want to discuss our past in front of Anna. Didn't want her exposed to the darkness I once crawled through. Did I understand? He replied, his eyes not wavering. But this involves Anna too. The certainty in his tone sliced through my chaos, embedding itself into the heart of a fear I'd desperately kept at bay. His acknowledgement of Anna's presence, a child he had never known, made my heart thump wildly. Her laughter, her life, her very essence caught in a web not of her own making. I felt the weight of his gaze shift, lingering on my daughter now, as if he were calculating how much he could disclose without tearing apart the fragile world we inhabited. Mommy, what does he mean? I'm scared, Anna said, clutching my hand tighter, her confusion painted across her small features. I just don't want to hear what he has to say. I whispered back, casting wary glances at him before returning my attention to Anna, praying my voice would cloak her uncertainty in steady resolve. You don't need to be scared. It's okay. But my words felt like lies, and deep down, I feared that denying her the truth would only deepen the precipice where secrets hid. I felt trapped between wanting to defend my daughter and wanting to shield her from whatever darkness lay ahead. Just then, the girl who had danced with Anna returned, her spirit radiant even amidst the brewing storm around us. She approached us quietly, a thoughtful look on her face, and I felt a sliver of warmth pierce through the cold. Hi. I saw you dancing earlier. The girl spoke to my daughter, oblivious to the tension thickening the air. Do you like to dance? I love to dance. Anna let out a little laugh, her spirit rising as she turned to the girl who had accidentally brought light into a suffocating moment. I do. Will you dance with me again? The girl nodded vigorously, a bright smile spreading on her face as she extended her hand toward Anna. Let's go? But as Anna took the girl's hand, a moment of unguarded laughter drawing a smile across her face, I felt a pang of guilt for the joy their connection would be soured by whatever revelations awaited if I allowed this conversation to continue. I watched them as they stepped away, the world reclaiming its color in their moment of innocence. Turning back to the man, I suddenly felt small and caught. The heaviness of confrontation cloaked me. What do you want? I demanded. What does Anna have to do with any of this? He inhaled sharply, a cloud of uncertainty crossing his features. Yet before he could respond, chaos erupted once more. The music crackled back to life. But this time a different energy filled the air as children chased one another, laughter resounding wildly. I can tell you that, but not here. His voice dipped, an intensity returning to his demeanor. You need to see this for yourself. It involves your family. It won't just affect Anna. It affects your future too. The weight of his words stilled my breath, dread curling its fingers around my heart. Here I stood, on the precipice of choosing whether to unravel the delicate strands of joy I fought so hard to weave around my daughter. The unknowable threads of our history, and now our future, tangled in a web of decisions made and unmade. Be brave. Anna's voice punctured the air, even from afar, her laughter echoing in the distance. She had reclaimed the light, even as I stood on the edge of darkness. Before I could summon the courage for a decision, the man stepped back, a glimmer of urgency set in his eyes. Tomorrow, they'll find you, he said, turning his back and melding into the chaos. And with that, the choice laid before me, heavy and terrifying. I glanced over to Anna, her figure dancing in the distance, and my heart ached with the knowledge that the truth, whatever it may hold, was coming to claim me, to shift everything I thought I had protected. Could I truly be brave enough? Would I face this storm for her? As I stood lost in twisted thoughts, the world spun on, never waiting, never pausing, each second bearing the weight of tomorrow's unknowns, and our lives hung precariously by a thread. The weight of the man's parting words clung to me like fog in the early morning, dense and suffocating. I could almost taste the fear on my tongue, a bitter reminder that I could no longer ignore the shadows tracing around the edges of my happiness. Anna twirled in delight with her newfound friend, their laughter ringing in the air like the sweetest song, but such joy felt like an insult to the turmoil brewing just beneath the surface. I allowed myself just a fleeting moment to watch her, to cherish her innocence, but then the moment slipped through my fingers like sand. "Are you ready to head home, sweetie?" I called, my voice shaky as I wrestled with the twin devils of dread and determination. The festival no longer sparkled with promise. Instead, it felt like a masquerade hiding a darkness too profound to confront openly. Anna turned her twinkling eyes toward me, her face aglow with happiness. "Can we stay a little longer, Mommy? Please?" Her plea tugged at my heart. So palpable was the love within it. But there was an urgency in my gut, a warning that time was not a luxury we could afford. Just for 10 more minutes, I relented, a tumult inside me churning over my resolution. The joy of anonymity, the freedom of oblivion that the festival provided, felt fleeting, and I feared how soon the colors around us would dim. I turned to settle on a nearby bench. The eerily familiar sensation of being watched prickled my skin. I looked around, my heart quickening. It was disconcerting, like the echoes of the past had awakened from their slumber, merely to remind me of the burden they carried. My eyes scanned the crowd, seeking some source of comfort within the revelry unfolding. Bright lights danced, and children giggled, but one place felt ominously empty where he, the ghost of my past, had stood only minutes before. At a fleeting moment of panic gripped me. What if I wasn't ready for whatever he intended to reveal? Beyond the overwhelming chaos of the festival, would I truly be able to open the door to that darkness without fear of it consuming all that I had built for Anna? "Mommy, look," Anna called, tugging me from my spiral of worry. I jerked my head up just in time to see her and her friend performing a clumsy rendition of a popular dance, their laughter infectious. In that instant, the world seemed to meld away, the shadows receding for just a moment. There was beauty in their innocence, a kindness burgeoning in their friendship that felt like a small flicker of hope in my tumultuous heart. But the echo of uncertainty still loomed, the truth of my past, the unspoken words that draped over every joy I sought to celebrate. I couldn't allow desperation to invade their world of laughter and light. Not now, not yet. The minutes ticked away and twilight descended like a gentle shroud. I caught sight of something at the edge of the festival. An older woman, her skin as dark as the richest night, stood apart from the festivities, her hands gripping a faded cane while her eyes reflected the glow of the lights around us. There was something profoundly serene in her presence, a quiet strength that made the chaos of the festival feel distant and unmoored. Just as my curiosity piqued, the woman turned her intense gaze toward me, and a sense of recognition splintered through meth, profound kind that strikes at the heart, an unexplainable connection that rushed in like an old storm. It was unnerving. Had I seen her before? My heart thumped again as a whispering flicker ignited within me. "Mrs. Burnett," I muttered to myself, recognition solid in a single breath. She had been a figure of resilience in my past, someone who had bridged the tenuous gaps in the world I had fled. Memories flooded back the warmth of her encouragement, the gentle wisdom she offered to those at their lowest. Before I could reason myself out of the moment, before I could dismiss this uncanny pull, Mrs. Burnett took a careful step in my direction, her expression solemn yet inviting. "You've been avoiding what needs to be faced," she said softly, her voice a balm amidst the noise. "But my dear, sometimes the darkest paths lead to the most glorious destinations." I was caught off guard but also intrigued. Her words resonated, a stark reminder of the battle I had postponed. I could only nod, my heart wrestling with a tide of longing, as if I were searching for solace within that very darkness. "I am not sure I'm ready, but your daughter deserves to know you're full, even the cracked parts of you," she replied, her eyes piercing yet kind. "She needs to see how to embrace the beauty among all of life's complexities." Does she really? Will it not shatter her world? I found myself pleading for validation, for fear settled back into my bones. Mrs. Burnett sighed, a deep and knowing gesture, her gaze drifting to where Anna still danced, her spirit wrapped in laughter and light. "It might seem that way, but sometimes the truth is the greatest gift we can give them. Protecting them from our struggles robs them of the ability to see love in all its forms." Her words radiated a truth that ignited an ember of hope within me. Yet another part flared with frustration, conflicting feelings of both resolution and fear crashing together. Just as I began to respond, a sudden commotion pulled at the edges of the surrounding festival. People began to murmur, their excitement a rising crescendo. I turned, attempting to decipher the cause, when a cold, sharp voice sliced through the clamor like a blade. "You shouldn't have run from me." The smooth, unyielding tone reached me even amidst the raucous laughter. My heart plummeted, recognizing it instantly. It was him. I spun around, my adrenaline racing, a cocktail of terror and urgency coursing through my veins. He emerged from the throng, eyes darkened with intent. He was back, and he was moving toward us. A harbinger of all my fears, of the past I was desperate to shield Anna from. In that moment, where shadows danced against light, I came face to face not just with the ghost of yesteryears, but with the culmination of everything I had worked to build in. The specter of truth weighed down the joy I had briefly clung to. Would this revelation bring darkness upon my daughter? The festival felt like a prison, and I was caught between choice and consequence. With Anna dancing blissfully at my side, laughter now tainted by impending dread, I inhaled deeply, bracing for the weight of tomorrow as I gripped my daughter's hand tightly, knowing that the storm had only just begun. I held Anna's hand tighter, her small fingers wrapped around mine as if she were my lifeline. The joy of her laughter faded into the background like the last notes of a symphony, leaving only the haunting echoes of my past. Daniela's presence loomed larger than I had anticipated, a shadow stretching over the very fabric of our lives. The air felt thick with a tension that threatened to suffocate the remaining happiness I clung to. "Mommy." Anna looked up at me, her innocent eyes searching for reassurance in the chaos. "Why is he looking at us like that?" I swallowed hard, desperately searching for the right words to protect her. "He's just someone who knew me a long time ago," I said, my voice trembling despite my efforts to stay calm. "He's not going to hurt us, though, I promise." But even I struggled to believe my own assurances. Against the vibrant backdrop of the festival, the reality of our situation felt all too grim. I had shielded Anna from so much, had fought tooth and nail to create a life free from the burdens of my past, and now everything teetered on the brink of collapse. Just a few days ago, I had felt hope rekindling within me, but now it was suffocating under the weight of my fears. He stopped a few steps away, the distance between us charged with unsaid words, the space filled with the silent conversations of our shared history. "Alice," he said, his voice low and filled with an intensity that sent shivers down my spine. "We need to talk." "No," I said firmly, standing steady with my daughter beside me, a shield instead of a crumbling barrier. "We have nothing to discuss." But as I looked into his eyes, I saw the reflections of my insecurities and fears, the swirling emotions that had intertwined our stories. "You can't just show up after all this time." I raised my voice slightly, a flicker of defiance breaking through. "You think you can just walk back into our lives?" Isn't that what you've done, too? He pressed, his intensity returning to its familiar clench. Running away from everything a truth about who you are, who we are to each other. You can't keep hiding from it, Alice. It's time to stop being afraid. That I felt the room spin as if the edges of reality blurred at his words. The truth was a loaded gun, one I had diligently avoided, and here he was, forcing me to face its barrel. But what did it mean to embrace that truth? Could I let Anna see the ugly, fractured pieces of me that I had fought so hard to conceal, to protect? Mommy, Anna chirped again, tugging on my sleeve, her innocent voice cutting through my swirling thoughts. Can we go dance? Please? Before I could answer, Daniel stepped in closer, lowering his voice, though the resolve remained. If you're worried about her, there's something you need to hear. Something that could change everything for both of you. I am not interested, I spat, looking away to reclaim my composure, my heart pounding like a drum. You need to go, but even in the depths of my defiance, Anna's hopeful eyes pierced deeper than I intended. What if he was right? What if these shadows I had fought against were tied to my own inability to face the truths I deemed unspeakable? He took another step forward, this time directed at Anna. Sweetheart, I wouldn't hurt your mother or you. I'm here to tell you both something important. Something you should know. Don't you dare, I warned, gritting my teeth as I pulled Anna closer, shielding her from his intensity. But Anna was drawn to him, curiosity dancing in her eyes. What is it? Anna asked innocently, her curiosity blooming despite the tension surrounding us. Anna, don't listen, I started, but her gaze was locked onto Daniel, her fascination peaked. I want to tell you about your family, he continued, taking a breath, seemingly undeterred by my protests. There's more to your story. You deserve to know who you really are. The words hung in the air, a fragile thread weaving through time and space. I felt the very ground shift beneath me, the landscape of our lives threatening to crumble. Was it my place to shield Anna from the truth of her origins? Could I protect her from the legacy of my choices? Or was this moment, this confrontation, the very crossroads that would redefine everything? Mommy? Anna's voice trembled, her innocent eyes glistening with unshed tears of confusion. What does he mean? Looking down at her, I could see the weight of my decisions reflected in her face. Each heartache disguised as love. Every choice I had made to keep her from the truth, now backfired in a moment I never expected. That I swallowed hard, knowing that I could not allow fear to dictate my daughter's future. Anna, I said softly, kneeling down to her level as I inhaled deeply. Some stories are complicated, but they are also beautiful in their uniqueness. I promise you, whatever he says, we will face it together. You and me. Her small hand wrapped around mine, and I caught a glimpse of her unwavering innocence, urging me to take a leap of faith instead of recoiling in fear. My heart ached, grappling with the reality that she might have a connection to this man that surpassed my understanding. Daniel stood watching, and I could see his own uncertainty mirrored in the depths of his eyes. He was waiting for me, waiting to see if I would unravel or rise, to meet him on this precipice we shared. Just as I opened my mouth to speak, the girl who had danced with Anna stepped back into the fold, her presence lighting up the darkening moment. The storm of uncertainty eased slightly, grounded by a reverberating innocence. Let's turn this into a celebration, she declared, her smile bright and contagious. It's all about love, right? In that moment, a spark ignited within me. The dance we had been engaged in held its own magic. The connection we had built in the festival lingered like an effervescent glow, even as shadows merged with light. I glanced at Daniel, uncertain of how this celebration could encompass both joy and pain, yet I sensed that this was our chance. Maybe you're right, I said at last, my voice trembling but steady. Maybe we can hear what you have to say, but I will not allow fear to dictate our futures anymore. The resolve dripped from me, mingling with my daughter's shared warmth. That I turned to Anna, who stared up at me with wide eyes, resembling a mixture of trust and hope, a reflection of everything I now grappled with. Come on then, let's dance. I encouraged her, pulling her closer to me as we began to sway under the softening light of the festival, gathering a small circle around Daniel. I could feel the delicate balance of love and truth reshaping our world. This moment could be the start of something new, a possibility bursting with emotions, ready to transcend the burdens of our past. It wasn't easy to face the truth that had haunted me for so long, to lift the curtain on the shadows. But as I twirled with Anna and our newfound friend, I felt the chains of fear loosening their grip, if only for a moment. Together, we could dance through the darkness, embracing every unsung note of our new reality. And as Daniel's voice joined the melody, his words weaving into the fabric of our celebration, I found myself surrendering to hope once more for my daughter, for all of us. Because sometimes, the most profound transformations emerge in the simplest of acts, in the joy of dancing through life's uncertainties. As the music played on, I felt light, and it was in that moment that I knew love, in all its forms, would guide us forward, no matter how tangled the path ahead. "Here we go," I whispered, holding Anna tighter, allowing the rhythm of life to guide us. In that instant, I understood with stunning clarity. We were not merely rewriting our story. We were embracing the revisions that had yet to be written. And perhaps, in that embrace, we could find something even more beautiful than the past-wed Fleta family reborn in light, dancing toward the horizon, where every heartbeat marked the beginning of something truly extraordinary.